Building a portfolio with Fidelity Basket Portfolios is kind of like making a sandwich. It's as simple as picking your stocks and ETFs, sort of like your meats and other topics, and managing it as one big, juicy investment. Now that's pretty good. Learn more at fidelity.com/baskets. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
The First Lady of New York Radio, Joan Hamburg. Entertaining and informative. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome, everyone. It's Joan Hamburg, and I'm really happy to have one of my favorite people, Alec Baldwin, who is visiting today. And Alec has a live, well, he's got his podcast show, but he's got his live podcast show on October 11th, which is next Wednesday at Town Hall in New York. And Alec is sitting down with Michael Wolff, who's a very prominent writer, author. And Michael has a new book called The Fall, The End of Fox News and the Murdoch Dynasty. And that's going to be, again, a week from Wednesday, 7:30 at Town Hall in New York. And there's going to be questions, answers, and I'm sure everyone has a lot, including you.
Well, first I want to mention that in this building, it's interesting that the 77 Talk Radio ABC logo is everywhere. It's on the table, it's on the windows, it's on the window shade, it's on the door. There's no mistake where you are. You know exactly where you are when you're in this building. Michael Wolff did my podcast live at Town Hall when his book Fire and Fury came out. And we had a great live event there, and people were just, of course, they were very primed to want to hear his opinions of Trump, and his book Fire and Fury was a big deal. It was a very, very much anticipated book about Trump's presidency. And we had 1,000 people in there who were just hung on his every word. So he's agreed to come back to promote his new book about Murdoch and Fox News. And, Wolff is somebody who he just, like all great writers and journalistic writers, if you will, he gets into people's heads. He gets into people. He gets information. It's tough to, I guess an obvious comparison is Bob Woodward, someone like that who sits down with people, and by the time he's done, he's gotten you to tell him a lot.
He's gotten, and you don't even know what happened. You're
exactly.
like, oh my, what happened?
You thought you were having dinner. Right?
Yeah. No, that's a gift. You have that too. You get a lot of things out of people.
Well, you've done this, much longer than I have. And in my career of doing my radio podcast and me doing Here's the Thing, it was really just a question of interviewing people that I liked. I was either very, very keen on their work as advocates for some cause. They were writers, academics, political figures, government officials, and of course, actors, musicians, and artists of whatever stripe. And for me, I either get to sit down for an hour with somebody that I love their talent. And we have a huge list of singers and musicians and so forth, Carly Simon and Streisand and on and on and on, Julie Andrews, and a lot of pop music and rock stars and so forth. But and then there's people I'm just interested in what they do. So it's educational for me as well.
And do you want to go further with this, or you like the way this is set up, the way you're talking to everyone? What else do you think you want to do with it, or whatever?
Well, I think a lot of people, you're a famous radio personality, and it's all sound only. It's therefore it's just ideas. When people are listening only, they're not distracted by what people are wearing and how they fix their hair. I've had a handful or more than that of guests come on the show and they say, "Are you doing video?" And I say no, and they just sigh and say, "Oh, great. I don't have to get dressed up and fix my hair and whatever and get my makeup on." They come in and all the focus is on what we say because it's only audio. And I prefer that. I've had people suggest to me, some vehemently, that I do the show with video as well. And I've just always said, no, it didn't interest me.
You're so right, because listening is a great art, and a lot of people don't know how to listen. And that's what makes such a difference when you interview. You listen. Not everyone does that.
Well, I mean, sometimes I don't.
Well, if it's boring, you're going to
I think
turn
sometimes
off.
I'm trying to drive the thing toward where I would like it to go and what I want to glean from the whole thing. But I think also that when you have an audio-only program, people can consume it anywhere. You have to. Video is something you have to make an appointment with. You have to sit down and watch a movie. You can't do it when you're driving. You can't do it when you're running. You can't do it at the gym. You can't do it. There's a lot of places you can't consume video, which is why music is so much more powerful than movies, in my mind. Music is something you can consume anywhere. In a restaurant, you can be playing. Music is in people's lives 24/7 if they want it.
Since they're kids.
Right. And they can consume it at will. Whereas TV and film, you have to make an appointment with a screen to sit down and watch it. So I really love that people can listen to my podcast, and they do when they're jogging, when they're riding their bike, when they're in their car. It's much easier for them to consume.
And do you find that people open up to you?
Some do and some don't. I mean, some people come in and they have done innumerable interviews. I've got a couple of people in mind. I won't say who they are. But they come in and they have a very kind of prepared, canned statements they make or stories they tell, which is fine. I mean, and they come in and they're not going to deviate from that script, if you will. They've been doing this a long time and they know what they want to say. Then there's other people who come in and want to have a conversation where they want to find out where you're going and what about them had you invite them to the show? Why did I bring them on the show? What was it I was after? And a lot of people I bring them on. Like we just interviewed this guy, Andrea Crosta, who I read about him as I often cull these subjects from like the Times or the New Yorker magazine and so forth. And Crosta, they did a profile on him. He lives in Los Angeles. He's Italian. And he's one of the foremost undercover what's the word I should use? Activists, I guess is the word, combating illegal importation of animals for medicine, like rhino horn. Right. Any way that animals are abused and eventually used in different medicines and so forth. Crosta is one of the foremost activists who's fighting the illegal trade of animal parts. And
it must be a big deal, and most of us don't even know it.
Well, when he tells his story, when he comes on, you're sitting there thinking, I lived my life, and my life was like this and this and this, and here's this guy that's out there trying to fight people who are, doing horrible things to animals. I mean, we didn't even really get into too much detail about that because it was so grisly. But where poaching and where the exploitation of exotic animals for medicine, and obviously there are certain parts of the world where this is very common and very serious. And Crosta is somebody that's fighting this. I mean, he's an amazing human being.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
All right, here we go.
New Phineas and Ferb is here.
We're back, baby.
For 104 more days.
I know what we're gonna do today.
Of summer vacation.
I am ready for summer shenanigans. Let's do it. Oh, yeah.
All right. We're gonna bust Phineas and Ferb once and for all.
Are we gonna do this again?
New inventions, shenanigans, innators, adventures, and songs.
new summer vacation.
New Phineas and Ferb starts June 5th on Disney Channel and next day on Disney Plus on disneyplus.disney.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You know, I watch that. You know, every now and then you'll see something really good on public when they'll talk about animals and the abuse and elephants and all the things that, you know, we don't really pay enough attention to. And we have to. And that's part of the thing that you do. Are you having fun at all now in your life? All the kids traveling, doing a million things?
Well, I don't do a million things anymore, and I hardly travel anymore because of my kids, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I found a place in my life, which is, I never thought I would say this. I mean, at my age, I'm 65. And I never thought I would say this, but staying home and being a father to my children and a husband to my wife, and work is something that is now it's kind of weird to me. Even I have trouble understanding how it's become this like almost incredibly distant second. I don't really care about work anymore, and all I care about is my kids and their health and well-being, and my wife and our family.
What do you think happened to you that always when you achieve success, one concentrates a lot on work. So what for you was the changing point where you
I think
could
getting
shift?
older. I think getting older. I mean, I had a lot of kids later in life. I mean, I have a 1-year-old daughter. I'm 65. That's not that common.
You probably enjoy her more than if you were 25.
I'm more willing to sacrifice. You know, if it was 25 years ago when I was 40, even beyond that, I was always just geared to work. I have a daughter with my ex-wife, my daughter Ireland. Her mother was very active and working. We both worked all the time, and we understood that's how it worked. We were at that time in our lives that was primary. That was what you did. I shot movie after movie. I lit one off the other. I was like a chain smoker, I just worked. And to have children now where the business is, the strike is a prism into people understanding how the business has changed again, and technology is going to change the business again. And who knows where it's going to be 5 years from now. So for me, it's easier to find something else to fall in love with. Acting and making movies and doing theater and doing all those things is something that was important to me for 40 years of my life. And since 1980, so it's 43 years rather. And now it's not as important to me. It's like I fell out of love with that, and I've fallen in love with 8 other people. Yeah, my wife and my 7 kids, and my older daughter, who she just had a baby. So I'm one of those rare individuals who is a father and a grandfather in the same year. I'm glad you're laughing, John.
I like that. Well, there's a good children's book for you.
Yeah, well, actually, I could see myself writing children's books. But, my kids are, my daughter Carmen is 10, which we find hard to believe. And again, it's also like the partner you have, I mean, I was married before and I got divorced, and that was tough, tough custody battle with my ex-wife and so forth. And now I'm in a situation where I think everybody wants what's best for my family. My wife, Ilaria, is such a unique person. She's a very, very, she's a very unique person. She's wonderful in so many ways.
Yeah, and that's really good for you too.
Yeah. But also it's like what are the things you derive from acting? I had a friend of mine say to me a long time ago. He said, "Would you rather act it on screen or live it in real life? Your emotional truth."
But how do you answer that?
Well, the answer for me now is I'd rather live it in real life. I mean, before, you would invest so much of your energy, your spiritual energy, your chi, your life force, whatever you call that, you would put that into your acting, and you'd want to, give it everything you had and do the best job you could. If you're a professional, you play the role regardless of whether it's sympathetic or unsympathetic and so forth. And then when he said that to me, which was a perspective of an older guy, he was older. And you get to that point now where I'm at this age and I'm like, God, I'd rather just stay home, be with my kids.
And it gives you a lot of pleasure.
Oh God, it's my kids crack me up every day. They're the funniest. I can't even say on the radio what they say to me. They're New Yorkers. My kids are New York. They were born in Manhattan, raised in New York.
It's a different
They got a lot
kid.
of opinions. They got a lot of opinions.
It's
So,
a different kid. And now that
kids are different today.
that you're at a different stage too, you can enjoy them.
Yeah, we don't get to do things the way we did when we had one kid, two kids. We would fly. We go to Europe. We go to Italy. We go to London. I'd shoot a movie. We went to Spain for my wife to see her relatives there. Blah blah blah. But we didn't. Now we traveling with my wife and I and a couple people to help us and 7 children. They don't have that many seats in first class anymore. So.
That's for sure. That could be a blessing too. That they have.
We're going to save some money on airfare. Yeah,
the back of the bus. And do the kids all get along?
Well, they really are a pack. They're very in love with each other and close to each other, and that doesn't preclude them from arguing and fighting. We have our daughter Carmen. Then we had 4 boys in a row, and those 4 boys can get a little rowdy from time to time. And I'm one of 4 boys.
Well, yeah, I was going to say you grew up with brothers.
There are flashbacks I'm having on a daily basis, which are rather unsettling, but they're rare. They're not. There's nothing that's a problem. Everything with them is ordinary. They behave the way kids always behave.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're New York kids.
Well, that's another thing, which is that, of course, I thought the minute we had a 4th child, let alone a 5th, 6th, and 7th, that we would leave that we would leave New York, that we would go somewhere like the suburbs and go to Westchester or Connecticut or somewhere. My wife is not done with the city. She's a young woman, and she loves Manhattan. She loves New York and living in New York, so we decided to stay here and live here.
And what do you find with this bunch of kids? Is it easy in the city? Easier?
It's not. What's easy is there's a lot to do. And you can go to the museum, and natural history, for example, is a constant stop of ours. And we go there, and especially when the weather's bad or it's cold, we go inside, obviously. And you go to these places, and you can never tire. You can never cover all the ground.
No, it's exactly right.
There's always more to see and to discover there, and that's true with Marine Museum out in Brooklyn. We go. There's about 5 or 6 stops we go to. Of course, my kids love the Museum of Ice Cream.
Wait, how come I don't know about that?
Well, you're going to have to look it up. You have a staff here. They can look up the Museum of Ice Cream for you.
I love that.
Yeah, well, my kids love it too. They go there and they study ice cream. They study it.
Well,
do you lick it clockwise or do you lick counterclockwise on your cone?
It sounds good. You're going to become the big authority.
They got a good
now.
life. They got a good life. They got a great mother.
I'm glad, and I'm glad for you.
So we got Michael Wolff next Wednesday.
Right,
the 11th, live 7:30 at Town Hall here in Manhattan. I'm going to do a podcast with him about his new book, Fall, The End of Fox News and the Murdoch Dynasty.
And a lot to do about the Murdochs. They're in the papers every single day now.
Right.
Anything surprise you about them, or do I have to wait for the event?
No, I think that what you'll see is, I'm not going to have any fresh ideas here, that the Murdochs, Rupert Murdoch resigning is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think that Murdoch, what he did was he made himself a figure of tremendous power and influence, and he'd pick up the phone and he could get a lot of things done. And I'm not quite sure that any of his family members will have the same success.
I was going to ask you, is the son he chose to be the heir for the moment, is that a good choice, do you think?
I don't think it's a question of a good choice. I think that Murdoch, now that he's retired, and certainly once he's gone, he's not a young guy.
Right.
Certainly once he's gone, I don't think any of his family could replace him. He's really a once in a lifetime magnate of a certain proportions and a certain career path, and his influences and what he built. I'm not at all the demographic for Fox News in any way whatsoever.
He did it.
But he did achieve what he achieved, and I think now that he's done, I think that you're going to start to see the kind of diminution of that empire.
And that's Alec Baldwin. And if you want to meet Alec in person, go to the live podcast show. It's October 11th at Town Hall, and it's with Michael Wolff. Michael's book is something you're all interested in, The Fall, The End of Fox News, and the Murdoch Dynasty. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Always a great pleasure to see you. Love seeing you, too. Thank you.
I know. Thank you. And my son sends lots
I love the
of
John.
affection.
I love the John.
All right, everyone. We have lots more to come. I'm Joan Hamburg. Stay tuned.